Hi friends, welcome back to CaitlinAnnaleeCards. This is Caitlin, and today we're working on another Halloween card project, this time using the Pumpkin Candy Bucket die set from Trinity Stamps. As soon as I saw this, I knew I needed to add it to my collection. This is the inspiration for the whole card, okay? I needed to make sugary gummy worms. That was literally all I went into this knowing, that I was going to make sugary gummy worms. And so I grabbed my rock candy, chunky glitter from Tim Holtz and I believe Ranger. And yeah, everything else was just a vehicle to get me to gummy worms, and they turned out so good. So I started by die cutting all of the elements from the die set, from my Copic Express It paper, because we are going to be coloring everything with Copics. So I started out with the little like candy corn. They're not marshmallow. What do they call that? It's like the candy corn mix, harvest mix pumpkins and the candy corns. The little stems get popped onto the pumpkins, and all three stripes of the candy corn are separate. This is a little tedious. It's a little finicky, if you will, but 100% worth it. I only did two, and I still think it was plenty. I did two pumpkins, two of each candy, like regular generic candy shape. I did 3 worms and then 2 candy corn, and I had more than enough candy for the bucket. So it's not like you have to actually fill the bucket with these. For my gummy worms, I decided to go with traditional color duos. So we have a green and orange, we have a blue and pink, and then we have a red and yellow. And I generally kept the like individual segments to themselves. I didn't super worry about blending them, because in a real gummy worm, they're not like ombre blended. It really is a pretty strong line of separation between each color. So I just tried to not stress out about that. And then I wanted to bring in these other fun, bright colors into some of the other candies, just so the whole thing would look cohesive. So I made a little blue candy with the same blue combo from our worm. I'm going to do the same with the yellow, the green, and the pink. I didn't want a ton of red in here, and I felt like orange was already very present with the pumpkins. So yeah, for these round ones and those long candies, I just picked one side to be the heavier shadow. That'll end up being like the underside when we glue it down, and then added the little squiggles on the outer corners, but kind of just treating it like a balloon almost, where you really want to emphasize the shading more on one side than the other. The actual shading of these was super repetitive and really easy and quick to do. Figuring out where I was going to lay everything out, like once it comes to the assembly, that's what took up the bulk of the time, figuring out how I wanted to arrange all of these candies. All right, so the most exciting part is sugaring my worms, which does not involve any sugar. So I just took a line of liquid glue, drew it across my worm, tapped it around with my finger, and then dunked my worms into the rock candy glitter. Now I took the Simon Says Stamp Tim Holtz class this weekend, and they used the rock candy, and he was saying you shouldn't put it in flat like that because it makes it so it's not as glittery. But I found for this method, it worked great. It did exactly what I wanted it to do. They're so sugary and fun, and the texture is just insane. So I thought that it worked great dunking it in, but Tim would probably say I should have poured the glitter over the worm. Whatever. Do whatever sugaring you need to do. For the pail itself, my candy bucket itself, I went in with the same orange colors as the candy. This has been my pumpkin go-to color combination all year. It's YR09, YR68, and YR04. And you can see from this coloring that I am in desperate need of refills for these, because they have been my pumpkin colors this whole year. And even though tomorrow is October 1st, they have had quite a workout already. So my YR04 was the juiciest, so I really took my time going in with that ink and having it help me blend out all of the other colors. This little piece here is going to end up being the top opening, so I just shaded it in with my darkest, that YR09. This oval, round oval with the hole in the middle, that's going to be the little rim. So I added a little bit of the YR09 to the inner sections of that oval, and I'm going to attach the bucket to that bigger solid piece first. It has a little lip, so that part lays on the back of your pumpkin. And then just using a tiny bit of my liquid glue, I'm going in with that oval rim piece, and we're going to add that. You could also like trim or tuck your candies in between that if you wanted, like attach the candies to the back of your pumpkin and then add that back oval and have them actually be like tucked in. I didn't want to worry about that because I wanted to see everything on the card first, but just know that you have that option if you prefer that. And I think it's really fun. I also think that using the face dyes that I'm coloring in here, solid black, to cut out holes into your bucket and make this a shaker would be absolute perfection. So I do want to try to make that before Halloween, make a second one of these and make this a shaker, and just use, cut these out and use acetate over the holes. I think would be adorable. But yeah, I'm quickly becoming a big Trinity Stamps fan. We had another Trinity Stamps card earlier this month. This is not sponsored. I don't work for them. I'm not on the design team. I bought these with my own money at full price. I just really like them. They're really cute and the quality is great. And I think they're a little bit different. And I like, supporting products that are unique. So yeah, then it was time to figure out my card base. Or my card front, card panel. So I'm starting out with this candy corn piece. I trimmed it down to 4 by 5 1/4 because it's going to have a little mat. And then this piece of white is what my bucket's going to go onto. So I trimmed this down a full inch. So it's 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. It's just big enough that the bucket will fit. And then the solid black cardstock is going to be our outer frame. So that's a full A2 sized 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. So I'm just going with liquid glue so I have time to smush it around. This candy corn pattern paper is from Pink and Maine. It's adorable and I thought it fit the theme perfectly. I wanted some whimsy and fun, but I didn't want it to be so colorful that it would distract from the rest of the card. And I was stuck on a sentiment for a minute until I remembered I have this perfect no tricks, just treats sentiment from Stamping Bella. When you use a Stamping Bella stamp, you got to remember to take out your foam insert in your Misty because they're already on foam. The blue rubber has already been attached to foam. Otherwise, it'll get squishy and it won't look nice. So I stamped that in with just regular black ink. I'm adding foam to the back of that white panel. Then I'm going to get that popped up onto my card front, and you can see trimming it down that full inch means that you can really see that candy corn border. And I decided to put my bucket on a tilt so that way candy could be spilling out of it. And I think that's what took this card, like the vision that I had, from like good to great, in my humble opinion. Something about this card when I was done, hopefully you've had these moments, but as I finished, I looked at it and was literally like, yes, like 100% yes, this is the card I wanted to make. This, I have no regrets. If I could go back and change, there's nothing I would change. I love this card. I did add a drop shadow under where my little fallen worm is going to go there. You can see all that candy's up at the top. Nothing's glued down. I had to trim out the like 15 minutes of me messing with where these were going to go. I had to cut that out for you. Nobody wants to sit through that. So I added that drop shadow under the bucket and then where our little worm's going to go at the bottom. And now I can go in with my little candies and start adding those. I did glue my pumpkin down flat because my white panel was popped up. And then there's a couple candies we're going to pop up with really thin foam squares from Simon Says Stamp. So it'll have a little dimension, but nothing super crazy. So for the falling candy, I have one candy corn that's kind of mid-fall. I placed those other two candies down there at the bottom, and then I cut my foam squares in half here so that I'd have skinny pieces that I could use to pop up the worm. In another minute, you're going to see me take this apart and move things because that worm, I didn't realize, is covering part of the sentiment. But it's fine because we kind of just pop back and forth with these. There it goes. So I took him off. I shifted the green candy around so it was more flat. You could see more of the green kind of peeking under that worm. I just added a little extra liquid glue to that foam and raised him up a little higher so he's not blocking the sentiment now. I added some foam to that little pumpkin. We're just going to go in with liquid glue and make sure some of our candy and worms are popping up higher out of the bucket. Some are kind of overlapping over the edge on the bottom. Went in with that fun pink little candy popped up, and then added in that last candy corn. So this was adorable, but I thought adding a tiny bit of a white highlight with some gel pen would also help kind of push it to the extra cuteness level. So I added that to the little face of the bucket as well as to the candies where the wrappers would have a little bit of a shine. And then that is it for this card. All I'd have to do is pop this right onto a card base, and you can see that shine and texture from those worms. This card just makes me so incredibly happy. I hope that you are inspired to have some fun and get a little messy, maybe break out some glitter. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with me. I hope that you have an amazing day. Subscribe for more fun card inspiration, and until next time, happy crafting.